Hi everyone, welcome to a very special episode of Dirtying the Frame. Today, Asaad and I are going to discuss action franchise films, baby.
Yes. Ooh, and I just thought of something. You know how in Hot Ones he turns to the camera when he introduces it? Let's try it again. We're keeping all this too. So looking down to the camera, and then when you go, before you say Dirty in the Frame, look to your camera on the left. Camera two. Ready?
Okay.
Ready? All right, go ahead.
Hello everyone and welcome to a very special episode of Dirtying the Frame.
Oh, we nailed it. We nailed it. Okay, sorry. Action movies. We nailed it. You're going to love that edit. Okay.
Look at these guns. I've been doing my cardio at home, practicing, watching these action movies. Asaad, are you excited?
I'm very excited.
You better be, because if you would have said no, that would have been very upsetting.
Tough start to the pod, too. I'm just like, nah.
I'm like okay. I'm like a 1 out of 10.
I will say I thought as a young kid I would always love action movies. I think I've told you that. The older I get, maybe I don't love them as much, or maybe they're not as good anymore. Who knows?
Oh well, I still love them, guys. Don't worry.
No, you don't. Do you really love action movies?
I do. I think they're so fun. Depends on the film. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
So we are going to attempt. I have a list of my top 5 action franchises. Asaad has his list. We're going to attempt to create a cohesive, peaceful list together. One list.
Yes, and the rules, Sarah will state, we'll start with honorable mentions. Sarah will state her top 5. If we have a matching number, a matching movie, we'll reveal what number that is for, right?
Correct, yes. I don't have any honorable mentions for this one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, no, that's not true. I do.
You do?
Yes, I just wanted to psych you out for fun.
Okay.
Yeah, so first of all, how many do you have?
I have, and we should standardize this, but I have 4 honorable mentions.
Oh my gosh. All right, well, let's start with you because you've got way more honorable mentions than I do.
Let's just say from now on we do 3 or something.
Okay.
All right. I think for all of the pods we do, our fans are going to kill us for this one.
Uh-oh.
Because people are passionate about their action movies, you know?
I'm going to be in big trouble then.
Yeah, I'm going to be in deep shit because I have some big franchises that I've left off.
Okay.
So my first honorable mention is Jurassic Park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and what I've noticed is because it's an honorable mention, what I noticed with a lot of these action franchises is that only the first one was good, and that's why I'm putting it on the list.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Did you sense that too when you were making your list?
Yeah.
Okay.
For a couple of them, for sure.
And the first one was so groundbreaking that even if the second all the way up to the 9th Jurassic Park, I think they're at, are terrible, it deserves to be on this list as an honorable mention.
That almost means more, right? Like one movie has negated 10 terrible ones. That's got to be pretty good.
Yeah. How many honorable mentions do you have?
Right now I have 1.
Okay, I'm gonna go through my next 3.
Okay, let's hear it.
And the next 2 are the same argument.
Okay.
First movie was so good, dramatic drop off in the second and thirds.
Okay.
Matrix. Yeah, right? Matrix, why I felt was so groundbreaking that then they were a victim of their own success. Everybody kind of copied their format and took the big swings they took in their film. Then by the time they made a sequel, we're like, oh, we've already seen 8 other movies copy this, and it's diluted the original. Correct or wrong?
No, I agree. I've actually only seen the original Matrix. I never saw any of the following Matrix.
Oh.
But I will say that first Matrix, like, I remember everybody talked about that action scene for so long. The one where he's, like, dodging the bullets and stuff. Like, that was groundbreaking and something that we'd never seen before. So
You nailed that dodge bullet. I'm going to use a different angle. Can you do it again? Oh, yeah. Nailed it.
I'm getting old. That's all my abs have.
Now we all know what Sarah looks like when she's drowning. Okay. Yeah, first one was so phenomenal, groundbreaking. We probably have to do in the near future Keanu Reeves pod talking about how he's just attached himself to 2 separate franchises that are wildly popular. Shout out to him, especially for someone who can't act. Can you imagine?
Very great point.
Someone that can't act has attached himself to 2 of the biggest acting franchises ever, you know?
Hell yeah, good for you, Keanu.
Yes, when everybody says, like, oh, that person can't act, I'm like, the more successful they are, I'm like, better for them. They did more with less
they overcame
talent than, you know?
so much more than a talented person.
Yeah, exactly. Smash Mouth had a #1 hit. Fuck you, you know?
Do you remember that song, Every Morning There's a Halo Hanging from the Corner? You remember that song?
I do.
It came on last night, and I was like, oh, on my 13th birthday, this was my shit. And then I was like, but, you know, like, my 6th birthday is what I meant, because I'm just now 22.
Every time that song comes on from Sugar Ray, an angel gets their hookah shells.
Gets their what are those called? The frosted tips.
Yeah,
the frosted
tech
tips.
deck that they scoop with. Okay, so this is that falls victim to the first movie being good and the rest being bad trope, which Jurassic Park already did, Matrix did. The next one I'm saying is going to be Blade. What's your relationship to Blade? Oh, you knew when the camera was on you, huh? I caught you, you sneaky ass. What you gonna write? You better say something good too, because now the camera's on you. You can't be crazy. Yes, yes. Okay, I blurted it out. Okay, cool.
Sorry. I've never seen that movie either.
You don't watch any black movies.
It's Wesley Snipes, right?
Yes.
And he wears
Wesley
a big. Is he a vampire?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
See, I know stuff. Don't worry about me.
Okay, I know. I shouldn't shame you. And then my last one is Batman, the recent Batman. Yeah.
No, that's great. No, that's
Christian
great.
Bale Batman.
Yeah, I don't think about those as action franchises, I guess. So, but you're absolutely right. Those Dark Knight movies with Christian Bale are so good.
Yeah,
they were so good.
I mean, I know the third ended with a ticking bomb, which was kind of like, ugh, Nolan, what are we doing? But he just didn't want to be in that franchise anymore. He's like, I want to make Inception, and that was the case where the second movie was the best. I still really love the first Batman, the Christian Bale Batman.
Yeah.
Those are all my honorable mentions. You want to cook food about your honorable mentions? You can move on if you don't have any.
I've come up with 2.
Cool. Let's hear it.
2 that I think might be on your list, but you're not going to tell me because they're my honorable mentions.
Somehow you're
and
gonna work Elf into this, and it's gonna piss me off.
there is a couple of action scenes. He throws snowballs, and they have to run through the department store. These are action scenes, guys. Okay. And in an elf costume and tights, not easy to pull off. Okay, so Fast and the Furious is my honorable mention that I actually honorable mentioned because Asaad hit me to these films. Obviously, I'd heard of them, but I never really went to see them because I'm a girl. That's a terrible thing to say. Girls can enjoy these films too. I don't know. I just wasn't into it. He was so excited and so obsessed with them that I decided to go and watch a couple of them as well. And I really liked them. I had a good time. So I do think that those are straight up action. They are a franchise, and they're really good.
One small question. What the fuck?
I knew you were going to be mad. I'm sorry. It's not personal. Don't take it personal. The only person who should take this personal is Vin Diesel.
I thought we were family.
Maybe if I got some Coronas, I'd be feeling more, amiable toward Fast and the Furious. And my next one now, this is a question, but I think the answer was in your honorable mentions.
Okay.
Avengers. The Avengers movies, can I call them that?
Listen, I think
Yes.
this is a solid decision. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to hit on that decision. Yeah, it's like one of 9 movies that have made $1 billion. We're gonna call it an action film.
Okay, good.
What do you nerd? Why? What do you like that?
No, I think that's great. I was like, are these superhero movies? But they are, in the like Avengers movies where they're all coming together and creating the Avengers. There's like some really cool, fun fight scenes.
And
that
you
I
really
like
that franchise.
I do like that franchise a lot. Yeah.
So, supporters of the DTF podcast, if you're keeping track at home, Sarah shamed me for making her go to that with an Iron Man outfit, and now she likes the movie. If you're keeping tabs at home. Okay.
And if you are keeping tabs, you'll also know that I was not mad at the movie. I was mad at Asaad.
True. Okay. Thank you for clarifying. Is that your only honorable mention? We can get to it.
I did too. Yeah. So let's start with my number 5. I'm going to read you the log line, and we'll see if you can guess what it is.
Let's do it.
The former world heavyweight champion Rocky Balboa serves as a trainer and mentor to Adonis Johnson, the son of his late friend and former rival, Apollo Creed. What could it be, Asaad?
Sarah Rebecca Stouffer.
Yes.
This is my number 5.
Again?
Yes, this is my number 5 as well. Yeah. So not Rocky, but you're talking Creed?
Just Creed. I've never seen the Rocky movies, but I have really liked Creed, and again, we'll tribute it to you kind of hipping me to these movies. Like, they do such a fun, good job. I don't really like to watch people beating each other up. It's not my thing. I'm more of a, like, make love, not war type of gal. But I also don't love watching people make love. Now that we think about it. Maybe I'm like a make cookies. I do like to watch that.
Okay.
So I've really liked these movies. I've seen all 3 of them. We've got Creed, Creed 2 and Creed 3.
Yeah,
And that's what they're called.
Nailed it. Yeah, yeah, you nailed the names. Yeah.
Yeah,
What was the Creed 2, number 2 called?
Creed 2.
Okay, cool.
Was that not right? I looked it up.
Yeah.
The internet said.
Hey, in this segment of
Oh,
trying
no.
to get Sarah canceled, she did call these Black Rockies for the first 2 years they came out.
I didn't. It's simply untrue.
You called them Blockies.
So yeah, these are the first boxing films, boxing anything that I've really liked, and it made it on my list. I think this latest one, The Golden Boy, Michael B. Jordan,
Yes.
might have some juice as a director.
Oh, you think so?
I do. Hot take.
Took some big swings.
Hot body and hot take.
Oh, another segment we revisit often. Ba-dum-bum-ba-bum. Sarah's Je ne sais quoi test. Michael B. Jordan is in the nightclub. You're in the corner. He's got a Corona. He says, "Hey, I'm Michael Jordan, the only one. The only Michael Jordan."
Yeah, you are. I really admired your work with Scottie Pippen.
No, the only one, boo.
I didn't know you ate carbs. You're drinking a beer? Fascinating.
I'd like you to know this is not acne. This is a bump for every man I've killed.
Oh my God.
Are you trying to come to the hotel or what?
Yes, sir, I am. I'll drive. Let's go.
Okay, so he passes.
Oh, he passes with flying colors.
Okay, all right.
And I think maybe really has a life as a director.
That's cool.
What do you think? I know this is your number 5 as well. What do you tell me about your decision to put this on your list?
Yeah, I love the fact that he directed the third Creed. For me, I think we spoke about this on the pod before when it comes to creativity, especially filmmaking. Sometimes I appreciate the swing, the fact that they took this swing more than I appreciate if they landed the swing, you know? And Michael B. Jordan, to me that's vision, you know? And Michael B. Jordan took some big swings in the third Creed. And it's something that needed to be done. A lot of boxing movies are filmed the same. You punch me, I punch you, I wait, then you punch me. And he took some big swings in the beginning and the end of the film. And almost, do you remember how the film ended in Creed 3? Sarah?
No.
Him and, what's our boy's name? I forget.
Jonathan Majors?
Yeah, Jonathan Majors. Go back to their childhood in the ring, and everyone in the crowd disappears, and it's smoky, and it's just those two in the ring kind of working out their childhood trauma. It was just them two. And they fast forward like 4 or 5 different rounds to the end of it. It was a big swing. I'm not sure how much it worked, but I really appreciated this swing. So yeah, I rock with him, man. I'd like to see him direct more stuff. He's been working closely with one of the best directors there is, you know, for the last couple of years.
And that's the thing that I think is cool. I don't have any basis for this. I just am guessing.
Yeah.
But Ryan Coogler,
Yeah.
he directed the first 2.
Yeah.
And he executive produced this last one. And I was like, I feel like he was friends with Michael B. Jordan and helped him, you know, like just like we've talked, how do you know how to do something great the first time you've ever done it? And I think he did a really good job, and I'm hoping that that means he's got the right people around him and he can continue doing that and continue learning and growing and giving us more great films. Because honestly, I know I talk about people's acting and people are, it's so terrible, but he's not the best actor.
He saddled himself with a lot of dialogue and a lot of exposition, and Jonathan Majors just got to go in and be the menacing guy, which is, you know, the cool role. Like, the movie felt alive when Jonathan Majors was in it. Yeah.
So he's very good. Personal life or whatever's going on outside of acting aside, like, yeah, Michael B. Jordan was you know, with Tessa Thompson, who is a force.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Majors, who is also a really incredible actor, and he was giving himself the same, and I know he's the main person, you know, like if the movie's named after you, you should be in the film a lot, but he's given himself these really tight close-ups where the camera's not going to give you any room to mess up. If you're this tight on my face, like, and I do one thing that's too big, too small, you can tell I'm acting, like the camera's going to be able to tell, and it's going to tell your whole audience that you are messing up. And with Tessa Thompson, that works great because she is so beautiful to look at, and as is he, and just such a raw, emotional, beautiful actress, and she does such a good job. But, you know, that being said, get behind the camera more, you know?
Yeah, he's good in both. He's good at both, and I've seen it defined. I want to give the person credit, but I don't know who it was that said Jonathan Majors is an actor and Michael B. Jordan is a movie star.
Oh yeah.
And I'm glad they put it that way, because you still want to see Michael B. Jordan on screen. He still brings a lot to a film. You know, he's opened 3 of these movies by himself, and he does a great job with it. it's just tough when he has to do all of the exposition of like there's crying moments in it. He has to be angry. He has to be forgiven. And Jonathan Majors just gets to be a tough guy though, for 2 hours, and he nails it. So. Having said that, I know we're just talking about the last Creed. I think they've really kept a quality over the trilogy of the Creeds. Like maybe the second one's the least good, but they're all pretty fucking good, and they've done a great job with it. So shout out to Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. And just as a third, and this is like close to my heart. In the third, they had a lot of Nipsey moments in it because they wanted to make a real LA film. They're boxing at Dodger Stadium at the end, and two fights that they have Jonathan Majors walk out to. He comes out to two separate Nipsey songs, and for someone who's lived in LA for the last dozen years, who's like really had an outside perspective of LA and fallen in love with the quirky parts of it, hearing Nipsey in a movie feels like the national anthem at this point, and I was like, really, it hit my heart that he used both those songs, so that's me getting gushy.
Yeah, no, I remember saying to you, like, the music in this film just like hit. So they did such a good job of making it feel really authentic from, my perspective. All right, should we move on to my number 4?
Let's do it.
This is one I'm going to get a lot of shit from you, I bet.
Okay.
Logline. A spy organization recruits a promising street kid into the agency's training program while a global threat emerges from a twisted tech genius. Any idea? I bet you've never seen it.
Is this The Gentleman something?
Very close. The Kingsman.
You like The Kingsman that much, huh?
I did, yeah.
Is there 3 or 2 of them?
There are 3. Kingsman, The Secret Service.
Okay.
The Golden Circle. And this last one, The King's Man.
Okay.
So the thing that I really like, now, this is a self-proclaimed, like, comedy action film. So they're trying to bring back some of that lightheartedness of, I guess, older 1960s spy thrillers that had a little bit of comedy levity added to them. I'm not familiar with them. It's not a genre I've watched a ton. Asaad, have you seen any 1960s comedy action thrillers?
Yeah, I have a movie night tonight, and that's what we're doing.
Oh, great.
Friends. Yeah.
Great. Okay, good. Well, let me know. Let me know how that goes. I just like the spy aspect in any movie. I think that's really cool and having like all these, they have really cool gadgets that they'll pop out of nowhere, and the British element of it, I think, makes it really fun. Now, the thing I don't love and doesn't work for me in these movies, there are a lot of like really corny, gory parts. Like in the first one, the Samuel L. Jackson plays the main bad guy, and oh boy, he made a choice to have this lisp. He's supposed to be a Silicon.
Oh, that's right.
Do you remember this? Yeah.
About this. Yeah.
He was this like Silicon Valley billionaire who could have retired a long time ago, but he's been so mad at everyone because the planet's dying and he can't fix it. So, but he just put on this weird, he made this choice to like make a weird lisp. And so he just talked like this the whole time. And you're just like, what are we? Okay, I guess that's a character choice,
I think he was trying to be Russell Simmons, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay. Does he?
I think so.
Okay. Anyways.
Not great.
Yeah, it was a little interesting. It's like thinking that having an accent gives you a personality. It's akin to that. You're like, I know a character choice will be, I'll have a lisp and I'll be so mad at the world for making fun of me as a kid that I'm going to burn it all down.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I guess. But yeah, I thought there's like this, what I was going to say was that his assistant has these blades for feet. Are you remembering now in the first film?
I do recall.
And she it starts off before the credits even roll, she slices this guy down the middle from head to toes, down the middle like this, and you just see him kind of go like this, and then it just like kind of falls to the ground, and it's bad CGI, and it's corny, and it's supposed to be funny, and it's cheap, but that stuff didn't really work for me. But that aside, I like the ideas of these movies. I like The Spy. I love Taron Egerton before he played, what's his name?
Elton John?
Elton John. the pre-Elton John Taron, playing this kind of like kid from the wrong side of the tracks, being led into this hoity-toity agency that he doesn't belong in and standing out. I just thought it was cool, and I like those ones.
That's a dope choice. I didn't see that coming, actually.
I'm full of surprises.
There is one you do see coming.
Okay.
This number 4. Well, I'd be very surprised if it's not on your list because you heart him a lot. But this movie is about a man being picked up by a fishing boat, bullet-riddled and suffering from amnesia, before racing to elude assassins and attempting to regain his memory.
Could it be my number one, the Bourne franchise?
Is Bourne your number one?
Is Bourne your number 4?
Wait, hold on. Okay.
Get out.
Right.
Just leave the camera on me.
All right.
You go.
Bourne
come on,
is your
man.
number. Okay.
I will fight you to the death on this.
You know what?
We're not supposed to fight.
Actually, with your response, it's kind of putting pressure on me that I should have made it higher. Here's 2 words why I ding it.
Okay.
Do you know what those 2 words are?
No.
Jeremy Renner.
Okay.
They slipped. They fucked up, Sarah.
Yes.
Sarah, they slipped up. They tried to replace Matt, and you know for how much you heart Matt Damon, and you've been looking to date him your whole life. There's no replacing him.
There's no replacing him in my heart
Yeah.
or in the Bourne franchises.
And then they tried to slide Jeremy Renner past us like, hey, you like apples? No, we want Matt Damon.
Yeah, bro, you look like a frog. We know who you are. You're
Hey,
not Matt.
You can't insult Jeremy Renner's looks. He saved somebody in like a snowmobile accident, asshole.
Frogs can save people too.
He's like a real life superhero, fam. Yeah, okay. This part probably would have been 2 or 3 if you didn't try to sneak Hawkeye in there on me. Because the Matt Damon of it all, boy, I know you wanted to make another movie. I know Matt Damon was tied up with probably filming The Great Wall when he wanted to be Asian for a
All
movie.
right, whoa. We're just
We're
doing
not gonna
that.
talk
We're
about
just throwing haymakers. We're throwing fists at Matt Damon. He didn't do anything wrong. All he did was grow up. He got a little older. He's done a lot of these movies. Maybe he's like, I can't play this guy anymore. I
Nope.
like beer too much.
Oh, yeah. But then he went back and played him. So I don't know what to tell you.
And then he realized, I can.
You know what? This is a bigger conversation between you and I will continue, but Matt Damon's made some decisions that I'm not sure I love, Sarah.
Yeah, that's fair. You've made some decisions that I'm not sure I love either.
The fact that he took the biggest black athlete of all time and made a movie about the white guy that that signed him to a shoe company?
Pretty good film though, right?
It was pretty good. It was pretty damn good.
Wait, speaking of, have you heard the Blind Side controversy?
I didn't. I thought, the movie was controversial enough, but there's more.
Oh yeah. Apparently,
Okay.
the white family never adopted him.
Dang. Wait, what?
So they weren't really white. It wasn't really a white savior movie, actually, because they never saved him.
Oh, it was white kidnapped.
They just kidnapped him. And apparently, the trolls are going after Sandra Bullock now.
Yeah, Sandy, you got some
What
explaining
did
to
she
do.
do? She was picked a role, man. This was 15 years ago.
Okay, all right. I have to look into that more. But yes, that's the only thing that dings the Bourne franchise. It would have been number 2 or number 3 if they didn't try to slide the Jeremy Renner past me. But something to be said, I'm kind of a snob on fight scenes. The Bourne franchise does it very well.
Hell yeah.
And this is layered, but one, you have to have an actor that can pull off fighting. Which is really tough because most actors, sorry to generalize, Sarah, especially the male ones, they're a little bit more in touch with their feelings, emotions, so it's hard for them to portray a tough guy that can kick ass. Is this fair to say?
I don't know if I agree with that, but
Okay.
I'm agreeing with what you're saying of you need to have someone that you can really buy that they're doing this. Sometimes they cast like when they cast Alicia Vikander as
Oh, yeah.
Laura Croft, I was like, you're 60 pounds. I don't buy that you're kicking anyone's ass,
Yeah.
So it's that same feeling.
Yeah, and Matt Damon, I thought he was a pretty boy before this, but he really pulled off the fighting scenes. And credit to the fight coordinators because it looked like real fighting could look like in a movie. Fighting in a movie always looks movie-ish, but there's a really cool scene I think in the Firstborn where he's getting chased or chasing, and then he jumps through a window to fight this guy, and they have a book. They're fighting through the book,
Ooh,
and he's
that's
elbowing
such a
him
good
in like
scene.
full contact. So I'm like, you never see an elbow in movie fights, but Matt Damon really pulls it off. And these movies probably got saddled a little bit with too much plot towards like the 3rd and 4th, and got away from just Matt Damon being good in front of an action scene. But yeah, my number 4. And shout out to actors everywhere. You never know what role. God damn, Sarah. You never know what role you're gonna say yes to that's gonna pay off. Is Julia Stiles in like 4 of these?
Yes. God bless. Thank you for giving Julia some work. Thank you. What happened? What the hell? We all loved her in the 90s.
So shout out to her.
She was, she was doing white savior films before they were cool.
She used ballet to save her black boyfriend, right?
And I tried to do that for you for years. I don't.
All
I don't.
podcast is gonna get canceled.
I don't dance ballet. I don't even know how.
Like at the end of it, she's like doing the Juilliard ballet dance. Then he comes in and they drop like a hip hop beat. She like starts.
So dumb.
Okay, what's your number? Sorry, I took your number one. Your number one's off the board.
It's on the board, baby.
No.
It is on the board. Okay, are you ready for this crazy thing I'm about to give you?
Cook.
Okay. This is nuts. Number 3 for Sarah. John Wick was born Jardani Jovovich in Belarus. He was an orphan who was taken in by the Ruska Roma crime syndicate, where he was raised as an assassin. As you do, you know. Eventually, rising to become the top enforcer of the Russian mafia and known as Baba Yaga. What? The one you send to kill the boogeyman is what that means.
That's a fire name, not the actual name.
Hell
but
yeah.
The meaning of it is kind of fire.
The one you send to kill the boogeyman.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool too. Under crime boss Vigo Trasova, who deemed him so ruthless that many came to respect and fear him. Now, let me tell you why this is crazy.
Okay.
I've only actually seen one of these movies.
What?
But, hold on, to your logic, the one I saw was so good that it earned this as a spot of number 3 on
Which
mine.
one did you see?
The most recent one.
4? You saw John Wick 4?
Yeah, I did.
This is...
And it was so good. I've never seen a John Wick movie. I've never seen a John Wick movie. I quickly tried to do I'm on my way out the door to go see this movie, and I'm like quickly Googling to see if there's anything I need to know to understand this movie. Oh boy. I don't know if I needed to know anything, but I don't think so, because he's a badass assassin. I believe someone killed his dog at some point, and he's pretty pissed about it.
You nailed it. Yeah, that's
Thank
the
you.
only thing the movie is about. Well, his wife got murdered too.
Oh, well, why do they always talk about the dog? Nobody cares about the wife?
Well, I think they stole the dog. I gotta watch the first one again. And I should mention that this is my number 1. Yeah, you took my number 1.
Okay.
This is my number 1 action franchise.
Good.
But yeah, they kill his wife, who's expecting, and she buys a dog for John before she dies. And I think the dog...
So he can practice being a dad?
No, the dog is all he has for a little while after her death.
Okay.
And then these Russians, I think, follow him home from a gas station and beat him up and then kill his dog. So it kind of signifies the only thing he has left of his wife, and that's why he tweaks for the next following 3 films. I think it was tweaking.
Solid. No notes. No notes on that story.
Yeah. As being a cat person, can you relate to this?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not one bit. Please someone take my cat. Please someone take my cat. Okay, so I thoroughly enjoyed myself watching this movie. And I feel like when they made these, the order of importance goes like this. Number 1, sick stunts. Number 2, sick-ass set pieces. Number 3, sick-ass lighting and visuals. Number 4, sick-ass Keanu Reeves. And number 5, dog.
I think that was my favorite moment of our podcast so far. That list is, because I would see that movie.
I'm like, they're like, storyline, meh, we'll fill in the blanks later, right? This one, there's like, we don't care. Just as long as it looks awesome. Doesn't need to make any sense. Like in the 4th John Wick, we've got them in this gorgeous club in who knows where, Paris maybe. They were doing a whole chase scene around the Arc de Triomphe. Like, this is very cool. You know, like they have this scene where there's waterfalls and they're just like, they're having these knockdown, drag-out fights, killing people inside of this club, and the dancers around are just like, who cares? We're having a blast. Like, this club is so cool. You know, and nobody, like, Swiss cheese, there's holes all over this plot. Nobody cares because it's so fun to watch. A lot of death in that movie, though.
A lot of death.
Woo, a lot of dying.
Kind of their thing in John Wick. It's only right that you took my number 1 because I took yours. John Wick, for me, I grew up with watching a lot of martial arts because my mom was big into Kung Fu. And it was so revolutionary how they did this Kung Fu in John Wick. They combined the use of handguns with Kung Fu. And that's what made the franchise and the movies so special and so profitable, because it made it extremely watchable. For years and years and years in an action movie, either you shot someone or you kicked them. John Wick came along, he's like, why can't you do both? You know, let's shoot
What a
this.
great- you
let's shoot this
shoot
person
them-
and kick this person.
You
know?
shoot them or you kick them, and he's gonna kick you and then shoot you, or maybe shoot you and then kick you.
Yes, but a couple thoughts here. Did I cut into your John Wick thoughts?
No.
Okay. Couple thoughts. The fourth one that you love so much, yes. I just think it's. I'm at the point now. It's more important where the fight happens than how the fight happens. And you're right. They killed these set pieces.
Mirrors everywhere, lights
Oh my
everywhere,
God.
water everywhere, reflections like.
Amazing. The club rain that you already talked about, a rave that was raining inside the club where people were dying but still dancing. That's a commit.
Amazing.
You got to commit to the dance, by the way.
Hey, they're all on Molly.
Yeah.
It's Paris at 4 a.m. Who's
Yeah,
paying attention?
For sure. Set pieces were phenomenal at John Wick 4, especially the last one at sunset where they had like a gun duel. And then my favorite part
That was
of
really
the whole
cool.
series, they did this, and they just keep innovating, and you shouldn't be able to do it on your fourth movie, but they did this bird's eye view of John Wick with a fire gun. And it looked like a game you would play, like an RPG game. They took a bird's eye view, and he's going through this like clearing this house with a fire gun that explodes once it hits a body. Do you remember this?
Yes.
And they let it play out. It looks like a one shot. I don't know if they did a one shot, but it's probably like a 4 to 5 minute scene that I couldn't believe what I was watching. I was like, damn, man, I thought this series had stopped innovating and this is even better. And then he fell down 370 steps twice.
Yo, that's wild. That was wild.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about Donnie Yen? Because I didn't know who this person was before I saw this movie, but I was like, this guy is so cool. Like,
Oh, you dug him, huh?
I just thought, okay,
He's
so
great.
I don't know if everybody's seen this, but in this movie he plays, and I don't know if he's in other ones because this is the only one I've seen, but he's like a blind assassin, and so he is in the movie literally kicking someone's ass on this side and looking this way, right? So logically, how do you shoot that? Like, he's got to be that good that he can do this with his eyes closed, right? He's got the choreography down with his eyes closed. Phenomenal. I was like, that's a really cool idea and concept.
Amazing. He would, and John Wick, I sometimes judge movies by how much I can abandon reality, and John Wick does it so well.
Oh
for
my
me. I'm like,
gosh.
yeah, this guy's blind. He'll beat up 17 people in a row, then he'll grab his cane and be like, oh, let me limp off. I'm like, how did that happen? But I don't care. They execute it so well that you're just like, this is such a cool character. Yeah, he's been a martial arts movie star for a long time. A lot of people know him from the series Ip Man or IP Man, depending on where you're from. That was really famous. I'm glad they incorporated him in this movie. Sarah, one thing before we move on.
Yeah.
Has any actor, off the cuff, without you thinking about it too much, done more with less than Keanu Reeves?
No, absolutely not.
Right?
Absolutely
I
not.
mean, Nick Cage or no?
No, I don't think so.
Is Keanu Reeves the best bad actor ever?
Yes, I think so.
Crazy.
I
Shout out
agree.
to Keanu Reeves, man.
Yeah. He's liked. I think that's the difference. Like Nick Cage, like people like him, but I think everybody really likes Keanu Reeves. Like that's the
Yeah.
accepted answer. Maybe he's the new Bill Murray.
Yeah, he's kind of get lightened up. He had a Toy Story. He was Nick Kaboom or something in Toy Story as a stuntman driver that he really did a good job. But to me, I know you kind of throw out like all the acting prowess when you talk about Keanu Reeves, but in a vacuum, if you just watched one of those scenes, you didn't know who he was, and he's like, I need a gun. You're like, what the fuck is happening? Is this person serious?
Well, that's exactly what happened to me in this movie because I had no idea, right? So I was like, maybe his character is supposed to have had a stroke. I legitimately thought that.
No shit.
And when I left, I think I asked you or
that's right.
KJ and Chelsea, I was like, hey, is he supposed to be like, did he have a stroke in real life? Or is he supposed to have had one in the movie? And they would not stop laughing at me. And I was like, that was a genuine thought. Because he talked so kind of different and slow. I don't know what that was. I don't know if that's just how he is. I don't know.
I've never heard anything like it. And he's kind of just like arrived there by himself. That's definitely not a director being like, you should mumble those words and grunt them out. Because he's like, I think I need a gun.
Yes, that's a great
What?
impression, by the way, Asaad. You should add that to your party tricks list because that's exactly what he does. He's like, I need a gun. And you're like, are you constipated? What's happening? Are you having some sort of an issue? If you need to go sit down for a moment, Keanu, we're happy to take 5.
Guys, that's a 5.
Yeah, that's a 5. Keanu
Keanu's
needs to go to the
10-1.
bathroom.
Keanu's 10-2. Keanu's
Yeah.
10-2, guys.
Oh my
okay.
gosh. All right, what's your number 3?
My number 3. is
Shouldn't have taken 3.
what do you think? I think this character, maybe other than Batman, and maybe even more so than Batman, has been played by more people than any other character.
Oh.
Can you think about it?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Who?
James Bond.
It is definitely James Bond.
I
Yes.
got it, you guys.
Yes.
I'm so smart.
Yes. Now, me and Sarah probably will save it for another pod. We have a lot of arguing to do on who's your favorite Batman and who's your favorite James Bond. That'll come down the pike at some point, right? But James Bond, and I only recognize Daniel Craig. Okay. Once the ship sailed that they hated on my man Idris Elba and he was never gonna be James Bond.
That was a bad move. I think he's the move. No.
Who?
Idris Elba.
Do you think he's a little too old now? If we're gonna be ageist.
I don't think so. He's a guy. Guys can be as old as they want. It's only women we care about their age.
Very sexist, but very.
I
correct
mean,
as well.
tell me it ain't true. I wish it wasn't.
But yeah, the James Bond franchise was a franchise. I don't know if you're with me here, Sarah, but there's a large contingent of people like me who saw all the James Bond movies that our parents loved and were like, "That's corny as shit." I don't know if you guys think this guy's sexy or like dangerous or smart, but we didn't really fuck with James Bond like that. You know, it was like he's corny to us. I grew up with Pierce Brosnan playing James Bond, and not to shit on Pierce Brosnan, but I'm like, that's not gonna get me out of a seat. Like that's not gonna put me in a movie theater.
Maybe in the 90s it probably did.
I think so.
You
And
know?
I think maybe they catered to maybe the house mom a little bit more in the 90s, and Pierce Brosnan was like this, I think maybe a sex symbol for women
Hell
back
yeah.
then. But Daniel Craig provided this like edge that James Bond character needed so bad.
I agree with you.
Right?
He's my James Bond for sure.
Yeah, because the James Bond character is like a golden boy almost, and that's off-putting. It's like, I don't know, the Bruno Mars of spies, you know? Where it's like, oh, you're very talented, but everything's too soft.
Yeah, and there's something about Daniel Craig that makes me feel like when I see him, in the cafeteria, I'm like, yeah, he's definitely good looking, right? But there's just something about him as Bond where he's the perfect mix of like good looking and like that masculine energy, but also the soft spoken British guy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough because when you cast stuff like this, it almost never works when you get a no name for a big role like this. You know? Like think about the Supermans or thinking about other iconic roles like that, where it's like it's tough to cast a no name like this, and he was relatively unknown before this movie.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
I would say that I think you're absolutely right, and this kind of goes back to what you said about Michael B. Jordan being a movie star. There is something about like we'll have a whole pod about this, but there's actors and then there's fucking movie stars, like Matt Damon, Scarlett Johansson, like they just have that je ne sais quoi, and Daniel, you have to have that to play Bond. I think it's just such an iconic role, right?
Very much so. Very much so. So I was already kind of bitter that Idris didn't get the chance, so I didn't want to give this a chance. But Casino Royale, my favorite Bond movie, had cemented it for me. I was like, man, this movie works. And now I get to see what our parents were talking about with James Bond because it never hit me before. And I don't know, maybe I should lose my card as a heterosexual male, but the whole like seduction of women doesn't do anything for me with the James Bond character. I'm like, I don't know why that's cool. But Daniel Craig feels like this like cold James Bond that doesn't want to let anybody in.
Yeah.
But still charming?
Well, I imagine that the reason that they added that was because James Bond became popular in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, what do all guys want? They want to get hot chicks. Not that has changed, but it's like, I think that's probably why they kept that. It was like, oh, he's this like badass spy, machine weapon guy who's got all these like cool suits and gadgets and cars, and he pulls chicks. It's like every
okay,
dude's
fine.
dream. And
Cool.
I think you're just probably like, okay, cool, next. What else?
Really quick, what are you doing if Idris Elba, you run into Idris Elba at the cocktail club and he's like, hey, Sarah, they didn't let me play Bond, but I'd like to play your husband.
I'd say, play Freebird. Get it? Get it?
The Bond.
He's a DJ. That's why. Because he's a DJ.
He's a DJ. Yes. Bond series is my number 3. Sarah, what is your number 2?
I have a quick question for you
Please,
because
yeah.
as you'll notice, I didn't tell you that the Bond was on my list.
Oh,
the
it wasn't?
Bond.
That's surprising.
The Bond. Gold Bond is on my grocery list, but not on my top 5. I have only seen 2 Bond films. One was Casino Royale. I was, whatever year that came out, I was in LA, so, you know, a young adult. And I have never been more bored in a movie. I'm like, this was back when like Texas Hold'em and all that was becoming really popular. And so my boyfriend at the time used to watch that shit on TV all the time. We'd have to watch these guys playing like no hold limit, no hold bars, no hold fucking cards, limit, Texas Hold'em, stupid. And then they made a Bond movie where I'm just sitting there watching them play poker for 3 hours, and I wanted to just jump out of my chair and onto the floor. But this most recent one we went and saw, I really liked.
Which most recent one? Which one?
You and I went and saw it. It was, who's the girl who's super, super pretty who you love? And she was in that, she was like 5 minutes in this movie, and she was like killing people in this beautiful dress.
Tank top.
I quit. Someone, take my mic off, please.
It's Ana de Armas.
Ana de Armas, yeah. Whichever one the most recent one with her is.
Yeah,
because I thought that scene, and I'm not the biggest fan of her, although I do think she's beautiful. I thought that was such a legendary scene where she comes out and she's in this like gorgeous blue dress. She looks insane. And she's just like this like quirky, bubbly gal, and then she starts like killing people. I'm like, sign me up, love it. Had so much fun.
Cut it.
But yeah, anyways, I think it didn't make my list, but not because I don't love them. I just haven't really seen that many of them.
Yeah.
All right, so that was your number 3.
Yes.
My number 2. You ready?
Yes, let's do it.
The films follow the mission of the let me try this again. Back to 1, resetting. The films follow the missions of the IMF's main field team under Hunt's leadership to stop an enemy force and prevent an impending global disaster. What could it be?
It's Mission Impossible.
It's Mission Impossible. Is that your number 1?
No, you already took my number 1.
Oh, your number 1's John Wick. So is that your number 2?
Mission Impossible did not make it.
Well, what are we doing?
I don't know. You know, I try to get rid of all of my toxic masculinity. But Tom Cruise is 5'3" with stilettos on, man. And it's hard for me to just believe.
What's wrong with being 5'3" with stilettos on?
You're fine. That's your body shape, but you're not. You're not battling spies, you know.
But I could.
And as much as I love Tom Cruise running for 7 films, he's not a runner. I do appreciate his stunts.
You know, I'm sensing a little bit of jealousy, and it's not becoming on you.
I love Katie Holmes, and he took her from me.
Okay. I have loved these films since 1996. Yo, that's nuts. Can you believe that? The first Mission Impossible came out in 1996, and the next one is set to release in 2024.
What were you dressing in 1996?
Like a onesie. And a binky. No, I actually probably didn't see this movie in 1996 because I probably wouldn't have been allowed. But I have thought, we're going back to the spy thing. I'm just a sucker for gadgets, man. I think that's what we're finding out.
Yeah.
I love like a pen that turns into a dart gun.
We need to make a spy list because there's some competitive ones on here.
Yeah. So we've got 8, well, if we're counting Dead Reckoning Part 2, which is coming out next year.
Yeah.
8 Mission Impossible films. That's a feat. Mm-hmm. And to have the same star. Again, if it was a female, they would have replaced her because she would have been too old. But yeah, crazy. The movie has gadgets, spy gear. They have hand-to-hand combat, stunts, and they're always shooting somewhere like Budapest, you know, or like, I don't know, Italy, or somewhere like really cool and romantic. And I just think they do a good job of those movies. And Tom Cruise is always breaking his legs, jumping off of something, and that's fun to watch on the blogs.
I think it's a great choice. I think it's a great choice. I think the movies have become more about the stunts than the actual movie, which is okay. I still like the films. I just think a little bit. This is a tough take on Mission Impossible. Don't love his squad. I think his squad's kind of ass.
You don't like Simon Pegg?
Nah.
I don't like him as much. I didn't like him as much in this movie. I feel like they didn't really give him a lot, but in the first, couple, I think they're really fun and great. And my favorite one is Rogue Nation. and we've talked about this a little bit on the pod before, but Rebecca Ferguson is at the Vienna Opera House climbing through the rafters in this like gorgeous gold or yellow dress. And we don't know, she's like unscrewing a flute. There's like a sniper. We don't know if she's a good guy or a bad guy. Someone gets shot. That was so fun and cool, don't you think?
Yeah. Anything Rebecca Ferguson, she makes all of those scenes
And
work, for sure.
Paula Pattinson.
I will say, if I'm gonna attack the Bourne franchise for it, Jeremy Renner doesn't fit in this either.
They keep trying, baby. They keep trying.
You know? Hawkeye, I love you, but I don't love you in these films. But I dig the long run of it. But the films are always just kind of
All right.
His squad is kind of ass.
That's fair. I would say also, going back to the Jeremy Renner thing, you were saying earlier that he actually saved someone and was a real life hero. Like, that's the kind of actor I'd be 100%. If I played a doctor on TV long enough, I'd be like, get out of the way, let me save this man. They're like, bitch, you're on Grey's Anatomy. You don't know how to do a tracheotomy? Like, trust me, I've got this.
They'll be like, Sarah, you actually saved her. You go, cut.
Yeah. and scene.
You're welcome.
Autographs, signing autographs. All right.
Like,
so,
can we take that again? No, we can't take that again.
Yeah. You know what? I think I could have done a smaller incision. Let's do it again. And I could have done. I had 2 tiers. I want to just really get that single tear glistening. And did we get the wide? You're just like, bro, the patient has died. The plane is landing, and you've made it worse.
Good choice. I like your list. This is the last one I have that you don't know because John Wick was my number 1. This is my most controversial, my most polarizing pick.
I'm excited.
And the more I talk about it to people, it makes me realize that I'm on an island with these movies.
Uh-oh.
And you ever have that movie that you leave the theater and you're like, that was phenomenal. And then you can't find anyone else that feels like that about the film. You're like, and then after a while, you're like, am I gaslighting myself? Is that movie ass? And I just like...
100%.
I have that happen a lot.
All the time.
And these films, when I saw them, I'm like, these are brilliant. They should make 20 of these.
Oh, I'm so excited. Don't tell me what it is. Give me the log line.
Okay,
or give me a hint.
Only 2.
Okay.
Which barely qualifies it as an action franchise, but both of them are so good that I really wanted a third, and I never wanted a trilogy. A bohemian scientist and an eccentric detective for hire who becomes a wanted fugitive in his hunt for Lord Blackwood while constantly being followed by the presence of Professor Moriarty.
Oh, Sherlock.
It is Sherlock Holmes.
Those
Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes.
You know what?
Yes.
Great choice.
Right? And these films don't get talked about. And they
Great
have
choice.
these really cool action scenes where I tell you, Sarah, that America loves movies about smart people because they're dumb. I can attest to this. I love stuff about smart people because I'm dumb. I'll still watch House MD, you know? Give me a genius, I'm watching it. And Sherlock Holmes does this well, but they really take you into his brain of being a genius. That's the difference. Before a fight scene breaks out, he analyzes the room. He analyzes a man's knee that he's favoring a knee. He's like, oh, if I kick his knee right here, oh, if I get this broom right here. And then in the first movie, it played out exactly like that. And then in the second, he did it again, but different variables happened, so he had to audible really quick. First of all, I really love this character for Robert Downey Jr. because I was worried that Iron Man is the only thing he could play post like 50 years old. But he played Sherlock Holmes so well, and you and I both know Sherlock Holmes has like 4 or 5 people that have played it well. Mm-hmm. It's really competitive to play that well because Cumberbatch did it very well too. Right?
Yeah, he's my Sherlock, but I'm so freaking glad. Did not think of this movie at all, but I did think to myself, I really like the way that Guy Ritchie cuts action films.
So very much.
Or action scenes, I should say, because he's got a lot of like movies that have action scenes, and I'm like, there's got to be a movie. I mean, there was a movie called The Gentleman, I believe, that was a Guy Ritchie movie as well, but that I really, really liked. And I've liked all of them, so I'm so glad you said. I was like, I couldn't think of one, and I was happy with my list. I didn't Google any further, but 100%, I love that. I love that same thing about Bourne, how, you know, that was one of the things I noted about why I love Bourne so much. Is like, what a cool concept to be like, this guy walks into a room and he's like, I know immediately when I walk into a room how long it's gonna, you know, there's 14 exits, that guy has a gun, this guy, and just like gives you the rundown. You're like, how'd you do that?
I love shit like that. There's a lot of those scenes where we just need to compile it because even Bourne is at a bar and someone's getting to know him and he's like, doesn't know who he is yet, and he's like, I don't know my name, I don't know this, but why do I know I can run 14 miles
At a
in
flat
this
pace
weather
or whatever.
before I drop dead. How do I know that? You know, it's like, and if you, I don't know if there's people that actually exist out there like that, but the way they portray genius like that really gets me. I'm like,
Me
that's
too.
dope, man. There's such an assurance about the way they're speaking that I'm like, you got to be really fucking smart. And Robert Downey Jr. crushed this. And you know me, and we don't want to hate on this pod, but I've always struggled with Jude Law a little bit. He's
Okay.
like, he's always in way too many movies for me. It's like hard to avoid it, you know. But
You're like, bro, we understand you only have a couple more months left with that hairline, but give us a break.
we're not
Pace yourself, you know?
we're not going after Jude Law's hairline, man. Leave Jude Law alone. But they worked well together. I thought Robert Downey Jr. had so many ways to overplay this character, but he teetered on the line a lot. He was eccentric, but I think it made sense. And really love Rachel McAdams in this.
Yeah.
Really love Rachel McAdams in this.
He just plays that. It's that same kind of Iron Man role, right? It's that same kind of like too cocky for my own good, clever, quick-witted, snarky guy that you like because he's funny, even though he's tearing you down while he's saying something, you know?
Exactly.
And he just, that's where I love to see him. Not to say like, never do any other roles. And I know I complain about, oh, people always play the same thing over and over, but like, I just love seeing him in that, you know?
For sure.
Okay, so we've got Sherlock, which I agree should go on our top 5 because I do really like those fight scenes.
Yes.
We've got Bourne,
Yes.
and then we've got John Wick.
Yes.
Those are all of the, Bourne and John Wick are the only ones that have overlapped, so we're good on those. And I'm going to agree with you on Sherlock.
And we had the same number 5 as Creed.
Oh, yeah. All right. So
I think
Creed.
5 is Creed automatically.
So we've got 4. What's going to be our 5th? So number 5 is Creed, you said.
5 should be Creed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go.
What did you have as 4 again, Sarah?
Oh, Kingsman.
That's right. I'm not jacking that. We're not getting Kingsman on the top
That's
5
fine.
list.
It doesn't belong. Creed.
It doesn't belong.
Although I did rewatch it yesterday. It was fun.
Yeah? The first one?
Yeah.
I had different, I don't know what it was, but I had different ideas for Taron Egerton's career.
I think he could have been great in that. What was the first thing we saw Taron Egerton in, I wonder?
Wasn't these Kingsman joints?
Maybe.
I think so.
I dig that. He's like a bad boy, you know? But he like loves his little sister so much, and he loves his mom. Okay, so we've got Creed. Where are we putting Bourne, man? Bourne is.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. It's got to bump up if it's high on your list.
How high?
Okay? I think the only discussion we have to have
is John Wick.
Is yes, and this is what it comes down to.
I haven't seen the movies. That's what it comes down to.
2 men are fighting over you. Who wins that fight, Sarah?
Oh shit. Oh wait, I was picturing Michael B. Jordan and Matt Damon. Oh, sorry. Obviously Matt Damon.
Matt Damon wins that fight. Jason Bourne wins that fight against John Wick.
John Wick has more guns, I
Facts.
think. But
Stay ready.
as we met Jason Bourne, he was riddled with bullets.
Oh, it's like almost bullets can't even
Don't
phase
even
him.
matter. Yeah, he was fine. He's like, can someone get me a sandwich? You know?
I am going to say something I'm not going to like, but let me say it before I think about it any longer. I think 1 is Bourne, 2 is Wick.
I love winning. Also, I was going to say there's more Bourne movies. So
There is. Jeremy Renner.
Bourne,
Wick.
Wick.
What's 3 and 4, kiddo?
So we've got to figure out where to put Sherlock. I'm going to say 4 because there's only 2 movies and they're not technically really like action
I feel you.
franchise.
I feel you.
Should we put
Bond?
family on here?
Fast and Furious?
Mm-hmm.
I think the only space left is Bond.
I'm going to give you Bond because I know its cultural significance. 3 though?
Think
Okay.
so. Give us our list here. What is it?
So we've got our top 5 action franchise films. Number 1, the Bourne franchise. Number 2, the Wick franchise. John. Bond, Sherlock, and Creed. I feel like we did a good job here today.
I think the people that know me are going to be like, why, how did Fast and Furious not make it?
I agree, but I think, as we grow older,
Yeah.
our taste buds change every 7 years. Maybe
Speak
your
on it.
taste for Coronas has just, or maybe your taste for family has gone.
Yeah, and I'll say this really serious to the camera. Fast and Furious didn't make my top 5 action movies because it is not a film to me, it's a religion.
Okay, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Go.
You don't understand family, okay? Every new Fast and Furious movie, and a villain tries to kill Dom's family, and then he makes him family the next film. That's the real meaning of family.
Do you want to hear what's the travesty about this?
What's
is that the first thing Asaad did when he drove his broke down car from Salt Lake City to the big bright lights of Hollywood, you know what the first thing he did was? He went and found the Fast and the Furious house over by Dodger Stadium. If I'm lying, I'm dying.
Boyle Heights, yeah. True story.
Okay. So, you know, sometimes our tastes change, and that's okay. We can grow and evolve and still hold a special place in our heart for what those films used to mean to us.
Sarah, I'm glad we came to a top 5. This was a good list. Thank you.
It was a good list, and we didn't come to blows.
We did not. We not.
Thanks for watching, guys. Tune in next time. Bye.